Hello, guys, and welcome to another session on the series of CMA lectures I have been recording. In today's session, particularly, we will be solving some multiple choice questions on Michael Porter's five forces model. While discussing the theory as well, in the another video in the series of lectures, you will find the theory is already discussed. So in that video also, I had pointed out that it looks very easy. 5 factors: entry barriers, buyers bargaining power, suppliers bargaining power, threat of substitute products, and intensity of competition among existing players. But questions can be really tricky because you need to understand each question in order to apply them. So let's solve some multiple choice questions today. Intensity of rivalry among existing firms in an industry increases when. So the question is telling us intensity of rivalry between existing firms in the industry. When will that increase? Means their rivalry will be really high. Products are relatively undifferentiated. That means all the products are relatively more or less same substitute products. Yes, in this situation, your rivalry will definitely increase because you all are fighting for the same set of buyers. Consumer switching costs are low. Switching cost essentially means the cost it takes for a customer to switch from one product to another. Now, today you might be wondering what are these costs and all, but just go back a few years when our cell numbers could not be ported to another carrier. So if we had to change, let's say from Airtel to Vodafone, we had to give up that number. And because most of us had given out that numbers to so many people, it was very difficult for us actually to switch to a new number. So even though money was not getting spent much, but consumer switching costs were still high. And in various other, in US also, in cables and all, if you buying a new connection will cost you a lot of money, you might want to avoid that. So if consumer switching costs are low, as in today's telecom industry, we can easily port, not having to worry about extra charges. Again, competition will increase among existing firms in the industry. So understanding this question tells me, first, intensity of rivalry among existing firms in an industry will increase when products are relatively undifferentiated, means more or less they are substitutes. Yes, then the threat of competition will definitely be there and rivalry will increase. And consumer switching costs are low, means customers can easily switch from one product to another. Then also rivalry will be very high because you are trying to then poach each other customers. So answer should be both 1 and 2. Now remember, whenever you are solving questions of Michael Porter's five forces model, you have to understand the terms given in the question because questions will not be purely based on theory. Structural considerations affecting the threat of substitutes include all of the following. Now the question is very specific that there are structural considerations and we are only talking about threat of substitutes. They include all except, so we have to find the odd one out. That means out of the 4 options I'm about to read, 3 will fall in the category where threat of substitutes is there. 1, it is not there. And that is what I'm looking for, except relative prices. Yes. If the cost of one product and the cost, let's say cost of tea, cost of one particular tea is 250, cost of one particular tea leaves is 270. It can affect various household budgets can be affected by this. So yes, threat of substitutes is affected by prices. Brand identity. This means I'm very loyal to a brand. No matter what happens, I will not change my brand. You ask any iPhone user, they will say they will not buy any other phone during their lifetime, generally, if they have the funds, of course, other than an iPhone. It's brand loyalty. Now, whenever it is there, no matter what the prices are, no matter what your fundamentals are, generally substitutes will not enter the picture because customer is very loyal towards a particular brand. So this should be our answer, but we have to read all the options to be sure. Cost of switching to substitutes. Of course, I just discussed. If cost of switching to substitutes is high, it negatively impacts threat of substitutes. It reduces the threat of substitutes impact because cost of switching from Airtel to Vodafone is that my old number will be given up. But if cost of switching to substitutes is very, very low, I can easily switch from one provider to another, then of course it goes up. For example, today's this Wi-Fi, they are good example of this, Wi-Fi providers. It's very easy to switch from Airtel to Jio or to Tata Sky in today's environment. So again, they are fighting for the same set of customers. It affects their threat of substitutes criteria. Customers' inclination to use the substitute, of course, it will affect the, or it will impact the threat of substitutes. If customer is willing to try different products, then there is no problem because substitutes will be really high. Threat of substitutes will be really high in that scenario since customers are willing to try new or different products. If customers don't want to, threat of substitutes significantly comes down. So A, C, and D, of course, I can, as I have explained, affect the threat of substitutes in some form or the other. Brand identity is the odd one out because if there is brand identity, no matter same thing, I will not like to use. For example, as I said, iPhone is also a phone. Samsung also makes cell phones. But because customers are loyal to their iPhone or Apple, then they are not likely to buy Samsung. Prices become irrelevant there, and threat of substitute is almost negated. So this is not going to impact your threat of substitutes. I hope you guys are understanding. I'm trying my best. Question number 3. A company is performing research. So a company is doing research. Why? To determine the feasibility of entering the truck rental industry. So a company is doing a thorough research of whether or not it should enter a truck rental industry where trucks are put out on rent. Decision to enter the market is most likely to be deterred if, that means I will most likely, or the company will most likely not enter the market if, that means 3 conditions are favorable, 1 is not favorable. Fixed costs are high in relation to variable cost in the truck rental industry. Can be an option. Fixed costs are high, variable costs are low, so initial cost of entering will be high. Maybe, not sure. Buyers view the product as differentiated. No, this is definitely a, this will definitely encourage them to enter into this industry, if I put it, because if buyers view all the product as different, then your product will be also viewed as different by the buyers. So you should definitely enter the industry. So B is definitely not the answer. In such a kind of questions, elimination approach generally works very well. Very difficult to arrive at the right answer straight away, but you can definitely eliminate 2 wrong answers generally. C, market is dominated by a small consortium of buyers. This will definitely discourage me because buyers' bargaining power will be very, very high since market is dominated by a very small group of buyers. D, buying firms enjoy large profit margins on their end products. That means whoever is my customer, they are enjoying large profit margins. So I should definitely enter because if their profit margin is very high, my selling price will also be reasonable. So B and D are definitely not the answers. It all boils down to between A and C. Now, between A and C, A makes least sense to me. So I'm going to go with the most logical answer here, C. That market is dominated by a small consortium of buyers. Buyers' bargaining power will be very high. In such a scenario, whenever they see I'm making huge profits, they will never allow prices to go up actually. So again, you have to choose the most reasonable answers in such kind of theory questions, and you can easily eliminate two wrong ones, odd ones out. Then it becomes 50-50. Playing KBC becomes a little easier, right? Question 4. Which condition does not increase the threat of new competitor entry into the industry? So what is that condition which will not impact or which will not increase the threat of new competitor in an industry? Strong brand identity. Yes. If there is strong brand identity, it will decrease the threat of new competitor into the industry, because buyers are very loyal to their brands, customers are very loyal to their products. So it's very difficult to create space in such an industry. Existing firms do not enjoy the cost advantages of vertical integration. I know you guys must be thinking what it is. Let's leave it for a moment. We will come back to it. See, few proprietary product difference means most of the products are more or less same. This increases the threat of entry because the products are not differentiated. They are more or less similar. I will like to enter into such an industry. Low capital requirements. This also makes it very easy to enter into an industry. That is why in our area or in any area you will see opening grocery shops. Grocery shops are the most common business thing you will see, because compared to other forms of business, capital requirement is still reasonable there. So C and D are definitely not your answer. B, little vague. Whether it enjoys vertical integration advantages or horizontal integration, you can Google and study that. Does not form within the purview of your syllabus. It is irrelevant. But if there is strong brand identity, then buyers will most likely remain loyal to their manufacturers, means the companies, and this will definitely discourage new players from entering into such an industry. So that will be it, guys, for today's session. I will solve few more MCQs on this topic only in one more session. So I hope you understood it. You can like, comment, or subscribe to the channel to get regular updates. And always you can WhatsApp me your queries. Thank you for your time, everyone. Have a good day.